Hello, everybody. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Yanni Mastro, Senior Business Development Manager of Hospitality Furniture Concepts. Yanni is our exclusive distributor in Australia of Arconas products. And today we get to talk a little bit about some of the creative things that he's been doing down under, and also some of the really beautiful installations that we have finished recently, and share a little bit about some of his experiences with Arconas, Arconas and our products. So how are you today, Yanni?
I'm good, Lynn. How are you?
Great. Was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about Hospitality Furniture Concepts, your business, and your relationship with Arconas.
So Hospitality Furniture Concepts started about 15 years ago. It is a family company where we look at essentially all commercial projects. So back from the start, it did used to be hospitality only, which is where the name started from. Over time, we work on all commercial projects. So airports now. Public spaces is where essentially the whole public space journey began. So things like shopping centres and train stations.
Yeah.
From there as well, hotels has been a real core segment of our business, working with the big groups both in Australia and in the United States. So we have had a bit of international experience, I should say, in the US market. So I think over time, the relationship that's now formed with Arconas and representing the brand in Australia is something that we're really passionate about.
And I think it's very interesting what you say about your focus on the hospitality industry and the, your different experience, your experience from hotels and restaurants and things like that. It's important because airports over the last 10 years or so really have been drawing heavily upon those industries in particular to bring those influences and their sense of passenger experience and customer experience into the airport environment. And airports are really becoming much more laser focused on the passenger experience and that hospitality, and the retail concessions and the food and all that is becoming increasingly important for them. So your experience, I think, from that industry is so helpful for your customers.
Yeah, and part of it as well is that, of course, there are hospitality establishments in an airport, which is sort of like it was a really good understanding of how we started learning how the airports function.
And, you were talking a little bit about this, as an Arconas distributor, what do you feel, what aspects of your business are most important to your airport and transportation customers? Like, we talked a little bit about the connection with hospitality, but you've been now working with them for a couple of years. What are your airports in Australia looking for from you?
The airports in, and I'm not sure if it's a representation of how the rest of the world feels, but definitely in Australia, it is being able to have that connection with essentially one company that can provide furniture and furniture as a whole. So of course, we offer the Arconas seating, so all tandem style seating. In-house, we also produce custom furniture. So things like ottomans, things like sofas and aspects like that where the airport, yes, essentially the core seating is tandem seating, but those little softer touches of a fully upholstered unit, us having the expertise in what type of upholsteries will last long durations and in high traffic environments as well. Having those aspects and being able to have almost like a one-stop shop is something that a lot of airports really value. For us, we also can support an airport with the cafeteria furniture, so loose seating, custom-made tables, and of course everything either produced in Canada, a combination of Australia and Italy. So where we can, we also try to produce the product in Australia, which gives that essential global footprint for an airport from where their products are from.
Well, I was just going to say, it sounds like you're kind of combining, bringing Australian airports the best of the world, but also the best of Australia. You can offer both, and it sound and I think what you're describing about your capabilities on the upholstery and manufacturing side. Not only can you bring in the best of the world, like our tandem seating or that sort of thing, but you can service it afterwards. So if there's reupholstering required and that sort of thing, that's something your company easily does and provides a local contact for the airports.
Exactly. Part of our strategy is as well for a lot of the large projects is that we actually store some extra seat pads in Australia. So essentially, an airport can say we have 3 seats that have been cut in the airport. They can send it back to us before it even arrives to us. We can easily reupholster it locally and have a really quick turnaround as well.
That's great, and I'm sure they appreciate it very much. So what can you tell us a little bit about some of your recent airport and transportation installations? I've seen some beautiful photographs recently from Alice Springs, and stunning airport and real sense of place. What can you tell me about that installation? What was the airport looking for when they made the decision to go with the Arconas seating in the terminal?
Yeah. So a bit of background on Alice Springs Airport it is in the northern part of Australia. It is essentially almost like a desert. One of the hotter climates. It was more about having furniture that is sleek and seamless, that doesn't take away from the appearance of the actual airport. Alice Springs is one of the most, I'll say, unique airports I have ever seen. It is Indigenous Australian artists that have crafted the floor, the carpets, the ceiling. That it is almost like walking through a museum. So part of it was, let's have really minimal furniture. So even with the upholstery side that we went down, it was a plain black, which allowed the airport not to take away from the red and the essentially Indigenous Australian look.
And I know you've worked with other airports like Newcastle and others, but I would love to hear a little bit about, you also did a train station, a rail station, Shepparton, and I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about that.
Shepparton train station was actually our first project. So Shepparton is a couple of hours out of Melbourne, and it was actually an interesting one. We were always expecting an airport to be our first client, and it didn't turn out that way. So we started working with Shepparton train station, I think about 2 to 3
That's
years.
Okay. We like train stations as much as airports. We love them all. We love transportation facilities.
And I think that's the part that I learned right from the start is it's not Arconas airports, it's iconic public spaces. So I think it was like a good reality check right from the start of, hey, the product actually can work in a lot of places, not just airports.
Yeah. That's what we're known for, but we do a lot of rail and train and bus and public facilities of all types. So,
which was actually really good because we utilized the resources back from the train stations that were done both in Canada, London as well, and we incorporated that part of our portfolio presentation that we did with Shepparton. They loved the product. They were actually deciding between Burnu and Place. And the challenge essentially that the airport had is that it is in a rural area. So trains don't come every 5 minutes. They wanted something that could enhance comfort. So they decided to go with Place for the added comfort aspect, the fact that there's also some wider arm options as well. So their decision to go with Place was primarily based on a comfort aspect.
So one of the things I find is extremely important in this industry is relationships. Relationships are so important, and getting to know your customers and what their requirements are, what their objectives are for their facilities, what their challenges are, and how to meet them. I know you've been involved in, a couple of the airport associations, such as ACI, Asia Pacific, and of course the AAA, the Australian Airports Association. Tell me a little bit about how you've used these events and these organizations to foster relationships.
Yeah, really good question. And I think the way that the whole leveraging relationships and things like that, it never started as that being the primary goal. It all started with essentially, I don't know anything about the industry. How can I learn? I'm going to be their student. And I know both, I put those relationships as well as the relationship with Arconas and the people that work at Arconas as well, almost in the same category of, okay, what can I learn from them? And I think attending the events, both on the global scale, the ones in Australia, learning from the consultants as well in the industry, has really given almost like a broad view of how airports operate and the importance of things like passenger spend ratio, the importance of customer experience, and how a furniture purchase decision isn't necessarily made by one person. It does involve aspects of ensuring the environmental components are correct, ensuring that we can provide a product that meets the quality requirements, meets the financial requirements as well. It really gives a genuine understanding of, okay, every airport is actually unique. It's not just we can fit in, if there's ever an issue, we can retrofit. Yes, there is unique aspects behind each one.
So if somebody wants to come visit your showroom, or someone wants to get that, you are so, what I always appreciated is, you would come to the shows, you would work the Arconas booth with us. You have a really great way of presenting products and interacting with the customers. Of course, trade shows aren't happening right now. So if someone wants to come see, what do they do? Do they call you up and how are you handling? Do they get a virtual tour, or how does it work?
Yeah, so for existing clients, there is a link that will get emailed out to you. For anyone that we haven't been in touch with, there will be a separate link, and essentially we can find out a little bit about what you're after pre-booking, and then we'll have a one-on-one time in our showroom.
So thank you very much, Yanni. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today. Really appreciate all the work you do, and I'm sure your customers appreciate it as well. And how's the best way to reach you? What's your website?
hospitalityfurniture.net.au, or contacting through the Arconas website as well.
Great. Well, thanks very much for speaking with me today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Lynn.